Okay, we are here this evening talking to Senator Anthony Bucco. Good evening. How are you, Senator?
Good, Nicole. Doing very well. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
All right, and this is for my weekly column called Meet the Candidates for Save Jersey. And before I get started with the interview, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, about your background, and why you decided to get into politics?
Okay. I've been in politics ever since 1978 when I ran for the Board of Aldermen in the town of Boonton. Ran because I had, at that time, septic systems at my home, and we were having some difficulties with the septic, and neighbors also were having difficulties. And I thought I'd run for the Board of Aldermen and see if we could get them to agree to put sewers in. They had tried one time and it was voted down, and so we got involved. That's how we got involved in town politics. Was on the council as the president of the Board of Aldermen, which is deputy mayor from 78 through 83. Ran for mayor, became mayor in 84 through 89. And by 89, I had not only sewered my area, but the entire town that was without sewers. We had five areas in town that weren't sewered, and I sewered ours. The last area to be sewered was my own. I did all the other areas first. And that's how I got involved in politics. And from there, in 89, there was an opening on the freeholder board. At that time, freeholder Alex DeCroce went up to the assembly, and that left an opening, and I threw my hat in the ring with about, I think, 20 people that were interested in going on, and I was chosen to go on the freeholder board in 89, and then in 95, Congressman Rodney Frelinghuysen, who was in the assembly at that time, went up to Congress after Dean Gallo passed away, took Dean Gallo's spot, and I ran with 7 other people for that position and won that in 95 and was on the assembly until 97, and then ran for the Senate against a Democrat, Gordon McGinnis, in 97, and went on the Senate in 98, won that seat in 98, and I've been there ever since. So that's some of my background, but I'm also a business person. I own an adhesive company in Paterson, New Jersey, and have been basically involved with adhesives ever since I'm basically 14 years old, when I was washing beakers for an adhesive company, and continued on in that industry, and then eventually opened my own about 10 years ago or so. So we had worked for adhesive companies all through that time.
Okay, sounds good. So it sounds like you started as a concerned citizen, and you wanted to, help the people of your town, and then you've been successful ever since, moving forward to, bigger venues, more constituents, and helping them out.
Yes, yes.
Very good.
Basically, that we are known for our constituent services through my office, and I've always been concerned about constituents ever since I went on the Board of Aldermen in town. Whenever I had a problem, or I helped my aides or people that worked for us in the municipal building or in the freeholder or in the Assembly and Senate, is that when someone came to me with a problem, it seems like they've all reached the end of their rope. They couldn't solve it themselves, and I guess they thought maybe a little higher authority could help them. I said, I always wanted you to handle that problem as if it were your own, and how would you want it resolved? And I've been very successful in very successful in helping accomplish that, so that we could get that. And as I say, we have our reputation on constituent services, and many times we even get calls from other legislators who tell us, their constituents to come to us because they know that we had solved a similar problem. So, I mean, it's very gratifying to be able to do that. Frustrating when you can't do it, but very gratifying when you can.
Sounds good. It sounds like you get a lot of stuff done. I myself have found myself on the other side, trying to get things done. I live in a flood-prone area.
Whereabouts?
Manville.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I reached out to, my senator the other day to try to help me out. So, we appreciate definitely when our calls are answered and our problems are resolved. So I want to thank you for that.
That's what you elect us for.
That's right.
For us to work for them.
That's right. Okay. All right, so getting onto the interview, I wanted to ask you, what are your greatest legislative or personal accomplishments thus far?
Oh, God. We've had several pieces of legislation that we're very proud of. One of them is the drug court. The drug court is a court where if you're caught with a minor offense or first offense for drugs, instead of going to jail, you have the opportunity to try and get rehabilitated, get off drugs. You go through what they call the drug court, and you, on a weekly basis, are checked to make sure you're not on drugs and that you're being productive and whatnot. And if you go through the period, and then the judge can wipe the slate clean for you, so it's not a problem for you. And that's one piece of legislation. Another piece of legislation that I'm very, very proud of is the Safe Haven bill, where a young girl or anyone that is pregnant and doesn't want the baby, rather than having an abortion, within the first 30 days they can give up that baby at a hospital or a police station. Now we've expanded to fire departments, a manned fire department, that will take that baby, no questions asked. They don't ask your name, they don't ask anything about it, and you can just give up that infant, and that goes into a foster care where people are looking for children. That's another piece of legislation I'm very proud of. And a third one, I would say, is probably the Lake of Pacon Commission. Back in, I guess it was around the 97 or so, 98 and 99. In that period, we had a drought, a hot season, the summer season, had a lot of weed growth up at Lake of Pacon, and was getting calls into my office, and also was on the front page of the papers every day about the people complaining that they couldn't use their boats up there. They couldn't swim off of their docks because of the weed growth, and we looked into it and found out that the state basically didn't do anything to help control the weed growth up there. So we set up the Lake Pacon Commission. It was modeled basically after the Lake George Commission, to keep that lake clean of weeds and whatnot, and that's how we started that. Was able to get that from Governor Christie Whitman at that time. I think it was $2 million to buy equipment, weed harvesting equipment, and to put a program together. And the volunteers from the towns were appointed, and from the county, representation from all the towns surrounding Lake of Pacon and the counties, 2 counties surrounding it. And we got the people appointed, and they ran that commission. It was very successful in keeping the weed growth down and all. So that we are also very proud of.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Now, in continuation of that and bills that you've passed, I know that recently you sponsored a bill to close the Fenimore landfill. Can you elaborate as to why you were so passionate about getting it passed?
Yes, we had received hundreds of emails, hundreds of phone calls, and had watched what was happening with the Fenimore landfill, where they were going to cap it, put a solar farm on there, but what had happened, it started to get terrible hydrogen sulfide odors coming from the landfill. And I know DEP, state DEP, had taken the operator of the landfill that was closing it to court several times to try and get better control over it, and they were stymied in the court system of having anything done. After receiving numerous calls and really getting one phone call that really that impressed me so much over the problem is when a woman called and she said, "Senator Bucco, I have a 6-month-old baby. I've got to move out of my home. The baby was turning blue." Well, you can imagine a 6-month-old baby with the size of the lungs of the baby when you have the hydrogen sulfide affecting. And I went down to Trenton and talking to different legislators of what possibly could be done. And that was a suggestion that we put a bill in to close the landfill and for the state to take it over. So that's what prompted it. We had a committee hearing from the Senator Smith's committee, who was the environmental committee, and there was probably over 100 people from Roxbury around that landfill that were at that committee hearing to testify and tell the committee what the problems were. The chairman, Senator Smith, after the hearing was over, said, "Okay, we're going to put through a bill." He wouldn't pass my bill. He said, "We're going to put a bill that will we can take control of any landfill if there's a problem." And that's basically what he did. He put it under his own name. He was the sponsor of that bill, and I was co-sponsor of it. And that bill passed. The governor signed it into law, and the state took over the landfill and closing it up properly. Are there still problems up there? Yes, there are still problems, but DEP is trying to get that resolved as quickly as possible.
Okay, good. Now also, what is your opinion on the minimum wage? Do you feel it should be raised or left at the current rate, and why do you feel that way?
Okay, the minimum wage can be raised, but I don't think that the way that it has been proposed on the ballot, and also with a CPI every year, should be done that way. I think we could raise the minimum wage, but again, you're impinging on people that are working, and it's really, and I said this in the committee when that bill came up, when it was rumored that we were going to raise the minimum wage, I had someone come to me that runs multiple summer camps. Mm-hmm. He said to me, "Senator, if this happens," he says, "in the summertime, we hire about 1,100 college students, school students that work for the summer as aides or chaperones, or what do you call them, at the camps." He said, "If you put this through," he says, "what's going to happen?" He says, "I can only afford to hire 800 now. I can't afford to hire 1,100. So it's a double-edged sword in the fact that you're increasing the wages for some, but you're also eliminating jobs for others. And this is what a problem is. As a employer, I told you early on that I own my own business. I don't start anybody off at the minimum wage. We start them off at a much greater starting salary because the job is demanding. So I think it is also up to the industry. You know, there's a saying in the industry, the market drives the price. Whether it's a piece of equipment you're selling or something that you're making, that you're selling, piece of merchandise, or even the job itself. The market drives the price of what you have to do. And that's what drives the price of my hiring anyone at the wage that I pay, because the job is demanding, and you need someone above the minimum wage to do this job. So otherwise you won't get anybody to work. So that's what the problem is with that piece of legislation that's out there now. It's the wrong way to do it, but people need a better wage, yes, but don't do it this way.
Okay. Do you feel that there needs to be alimony reform in New Jersey? Why or why not?
Yes. Boy, that is one that is really coming about, and surprisingly, in fact, I've had two people into my office, women. Now, you think about alimony, and you think that it only affects the male, the husband, or the ex-husband. But it has affected, I'm never realizing until these women came forward to talk to me about the alimony reform that is presently being talked about, is that where they are the ones that are being hurt by it in regards to paying the husband lifetime. And I wonder sometimes whether that's right or wrong, and vice versa, the husband paying lifetime to a wife, especially in these times where we've had a slowdown in business. We see we have a recession. Many husbands paying alimony, or even many wives paying alimony, may have lost their jobs, but yet are still bound by the order of the court to pay that dollar amount, whether they're working or they're not working, because the judges don't have the flexibility to do anything about it. And the spouse, the husband or the wife, to try and go back into court becomes very expensive, and they're caught in the catch-22. So I think there has to be some type of reform made for alimony, and it's got to protect both the male or the female.
Now, I think that there's a bill currently that is trying to get rid of the long-term alimony and also the lifetime. And in regards to that as well, is it also true, is it like child support? If somebody does not pay their alimony, they get arrested and they go to jail?
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, I talked to one woman just last week where the husband wasn't paying, claims he's unemployed, and yet when they pick him up, and all of a sudden he seems to have the money in his pocket to pay the alimony or the child support, whatever. I guess it's alimony, not child support. And so they have found the money. He finds the money. And it happens numerous times. Whenever it gets picked up, then he pays. And that's wrong also. I mean, I don't know if it's a protest by some of these spouses that do that, or if it's just that they figure they can get away with it without paying, they'll continue to do that.
Yeah. Okay. If your constituents wanted to reach out to you and ask you questions about your positions or how they can volunteer on your campaign, who can they reach out to?
Oh, absolutely. They can reach out to me at any time. If they have a problem. Again, I said we do have numerous people coming in with problems, and we've solved them. They can come to my office. They can call my office, 973-627-9700. We have 3.5 people working in our office, 3 full-times and 1 part-time person, and we will handle their problems. If they want to help with my campaigning, which I am up for a re-election this year, they can reach out to me. I do give out my home number and also my cell number, so they can reach me. They can't go through the legislative office because they're not allowed to get involved in campaigning and politicals. politics, so that's not a problem. We welcome everyone. We usually open up a campaign headquarters, and many times we get people that have walked off the street knowing that I was running to help volunteer, and they keep coming back every year. Every time we run, they come back to help us, and we appreciate that.
Okay. In a short statement and in closing, can you please advise why your constituents should vote for you and what you wish to accomplish if you are reelected?
Okay. Well, we appreciate all the support we get from everyone. What we're continually trying to do is work with this administration, with Governor Christie, in trying to control the tax situation. We've passed pieces of legislation over the last 3 years. He's been there with the 2% cap, with the pension and health benefits reform, and different things to try and control some of the taxes, property taxes and all. And I want to continue that with the governor, to work with him to bring more control over our taxes. Everyone is very, very conscious of the taxes and very concerned about it, and we're trying to keep that going. And we do enjoy the constituent services. As I said earlier, it's very self-rewarding when we can accomplish something and help someone. Frustrating when we can't, but more times we're very successful in helping and solving and resolving problems for the people, and we do enjoy that. Again, from day one when I went on the Board of Aldermen, as I said earlier also, is that we have continually tried to help the people, and that's what we look forward to. That's what you elect me for, and that's what we want to continue to do.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to let me interview this evening, and good luck with your upcoming election.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.